The FNAF movie just got the most news it ever has, with a new synopsis of the entire film, full descriptions of every single character, tons of new footage to go over, and much more. Like the video if you end up enjoying, but let's get right into it. So recently, a ton of different things have dropped for the movie, like new TV segment trailers and other small things like that. But the first and main thing I want to go over in this video is yesterday, a multiple page document was released about the film, giving us a movie synopsis, character descriptions, behind the scenes stuff, and even more. But starting with the super in-depth synopsis of the movie, it reads, "Can you survive 5 nights? The terrifying horror game phenomenon becomes a blood-chilling cinematic event as Blumhouse brings Five Nights at Freddy's to the big screen." So now we know the movie is going to follow the traditional FNAF game style of lasting 5 nights, which I think works well considering the movie's title. The film follows Mike, a troubled young man caring for his 10-year-old sister Abby, and haunted by the unsolved disappearance of his younger brother more than a decade before. Recently fired and desperate for work so that he could keep custody of Abby, Mike agrees to take a position as a night security guard at an abandoned-themed restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. But Mike soon discovers that nothing at Freddy's is what it seems. With the aid of Vanessa Shelley, a local police officer, Mike's nights at Freddy's will lead him into unexplainable encounters with the supernatural and drag him into the black heart of an unspeakable nightmare. So now we know Mike's motive for entering the pizzeria in the film, because apparently he actually lost his younger brother 10 years ago and was looking for answers. And as people have theorized for months, outside of the pizzeria, there's also going to be a ton of family issues inside of the movie, with Mike only working to try and just keep custody of his sister. The description goes on even further, reading, "The film also stars Mary Stuart Masterson as Mike's icy aunt, Jane, Kat Connor Sterling as Abby's caring babysitter, Maxine, and Matthew Lillard as Steve Raglan, Mike's smug career counselor." Finally revealing to us that Mary Stuart Masterson, who up until this point was literally just named in her casting as an unnamed female villain, is going to be Mike's aunt, which will probably also play into the whole custody thing, as we will discuss later. And Matthew Lillard, who we've known for a while now, is playing William Afton, but is actually going to go by his fake identity we see in the trailers, Steve Raglan. But outside of the synopsis and the tons and tons of behind the scenes that's also in this document, the creators also gave us a big description list for all of the important characters in the movie and how they're going to work, starting first with Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson. As an unemployed security guard with a checkered past who has stepped up to become the guardian to his young sister, Mike has a lot on his plate. And that's before he accepts an overnight watchman gig at a shattered Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where the animatronic stage performers have a strange habit of moving about in the night. When Mike was 12, his younger brother Garrett was taken by an unknown man from a park while Mike and his parents were only yards away. Mike has been haunted by that event and searching for his brother and his brother's kidnapper ever since, even in his dreams. Now he has become the de facto parent of his younger sister, Abby Piper Rubio, but is on the cusp of losing her because his demons are preventing him from being able to hold a steady job. So not too much new stuff was revealed with Mike, except for that he lost his brother Garrett a while back mysteriously, giving a motive for why he might have wanted to explore the pizzeria beyond just doing his job and getting out, to figure out what possibly happened to his lost brother. Next, they describe Vanessa Shelley, played by Elizabeth Lale, saying, "Vanessa Shelley is a local police officer whose beat has long included the derelict family pizza restaurant Freddy Fazbear's. Initially, Vanessa is skeptical of new hire Mike, who has a penchant for falling asleep on the job, but as she learns more about him, she begins to sympathize with him, providing him with some crucial history on Freddy's, as well as becoming an ally when Mike claims the rusty animatronics are acting in seemingly impossible ways." Once again, Vanessa is a pretty simple character, not too much to say here, except the fact that in this document, Vanessa's actor literally said her character was a cop with a hidden agenda. I don't know if they mean she will have some sort of dark intentions with Mike, or maybe if they just mean how she wanted to explore the pizzeria and figure out its secrets, but I guess we will see. Next, there is Abby, Mike's sister, played by Piper Rubio, who they summarize saying, 10-year-old Abby is Mike's little sister, but his new role as her guardian has complicated their relationship. Because of this uneasy realignment, Abby has retreated inward, spending the bulk of her time churning out page after page of artwork artwork depicting a seemingly mythical realm only known to her. But after Mike accepts his new job, he begins to notice a strange overlap between the unusual happenings at Freddy's and his sister's drawings. The two must overcome their differences and work together to get to the bottom of why the pizzeria's animatronics have taken a life of their own. So it seems like Abby is going to be some sort of mediator between the characters and the paranormal animatronics, which we see in the trailers when she hangs out with characters like Golden Freddy. Next, there is the female villain Jane, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, who they describe saying, Jane, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, is Mike and Abby's aunt. Jane has become a fixture in the siblings' lives since the two have been living on their own. Meddlesome and sharp-elbowed, Jane disapproves of Mike's attempts at raising Abby, so much so that she has begun to register formal complaints with the other caregivers in Abby's orbit. Though Jane insists she's agitating for no other reason than her love and concern for Abby, she may have ulterior motives. So while Mike is dealing with the animatronics and William Afton, it seems like Jane is going to be the villain for the family side of things, trying to take Abby away from Mike entirely for a reason that I guess we won't know until the film releases. Then there is Max, played by Kat Connor Sterling, who is Abby's babysitter and caregiver while Mike is at work. Max is attentive to Abby, but is quietly concerned that Mike may be unraveling and might not be capable of caring for his little sister. Her intentions are pure, but she's easily manipulated by other people who may not have Mike and Abby's best interests at heart. Another great and friendly character who I can only assume dies or quits on Mike and Abby in the film eventually, since the only reason Mike brings her to the pizzeria in the first place is because he couldn't afford a babysitter. And there are plenty of shots in the movie of Max in the pizzeria, so I'm interested to see why she goes there and what happens next. But then finally, there's Steve Raglan, or most likely William Afton, played by Matthew Lillard, who is described as a smug career counselor charged with helping Mike find a job. Steve Raglan has zero sympathy for the burdens of the unemployed. Steve seems to take a perverse pleasure in forcing a desperate person like Mike into a situation that's less than ideal. It's Steve who suggests the night guard job at Freddy's to Mike, and who then bides his time like a spider until Mike reluctantly agrees to it. So basically, it sounds like Steve/Afton is going to be extremely pushy for Mike to get a job of some sorts. More specifically, the job at Freddy's that the entire movie is based around. And they also say that Steve almost seems to get a perverse pleasure in forcing a desperate person like Mike into a situation less than ideal, which makes me think that Steve, for one reason or another, was trying to force Mike specifically into the pizzeria to presumably have to deal with the animatronics that he sees while working there. In fact, I even theorized that Steve might have been the one behind Mike's brother's disappearance, which is honestly pretty likely since that's a key part of the plot, and maybe Mike sniffing around the town trying to solve the mystery caused Steve to try and get him into the pizzeria to eliminate any suspects of his crime, but I'm not sure. Alongside this big document with all of the character descriptions though, we also got a ton of mini movie trailers playing on TVs right now, and while most of them were just showing off new compilations of already had footage from previous trailers, we did get to see a couple of cool shots, like this one of the animatronics seemingly looking over something, or this shot of the entire pizzeria including Pirates Cove, which looks crazy, and even this side angle shot of the animatronics that looks extremely similar to the one from FNAF 3's trailer, which looking side by side, it looks like it was done on purpose, and I couldn't be happier with that. There's also been some other minor news, like mini kiosks being put up for the movie at theaters, pre-sale tickets going up for certain places, but other than that, the movie is super close to releasing, and with all of the character descriptions being released, which character are you most excited about? Comment below and subscribe.